A report from NFL Network's Ian Rappaport came out last week saying that Seahawks star quarterback and Super Bowl champion Russell Wilson wants to know his options heading into this offseason. This could mean a number of things, and Russell Wilson has made statements like this in the past. But in my opinion, something about this year has me thinking that there's a real chance we could see Russell Wilson traded out of Seattle. This is just my opinion, and feel free to disagree, but I don't view Seattle as a great situation right now for Russell Wilson to have a chance at winning a Super Bowl. I think there are 3 to 5 better, more optimal situations for Wilson to go to if winning a Lombardi trophy is what he's focused on primarily. I'll now go over what I think his options are. Let's start with Seattle. Now obviously, like I said earlier, I think there's a real chance that Russ could get traded to another team, but I still view him staying in Seattle as the most likely scenario, just because of how much Seattle has invested into him as their starter. Their fans would likely riot if Russ was moved. The team traded 2 firsts for Jamal Adams, obviously making that trade with the hopes of contending for a title with Russell Wilson at the helm. Now that I've told you the reasons for Seattle wanting to keep Russ, here are the reasons why they should consider trading Russ. For starters, let's look at his age. Russell Wilson is 33 years old and has 2 more years remaining on his contract. He's set to have a $37 million cap hit in 2022 and a $40 million cap hit in 2023. That's a lot of money for the Seahawks to pay, especially when you take a look at their roster and how far away it is from truly contending. The Seahawks finished last in the loaded NFC West with a 7-10 record, and while Russ missed 3 games due to his finger injury, the team struggled upon his return. Seattle finished the season 20th in yards per game on offense and were 28th in yards allowed on defense. Seattle will need to retool this roster in order to contend, but it's going to be a challenge. Seattle's projected to have around $30 million in cap space, but will need most of this to bring back their own guys, such as safety Quandre Diggs, tight end Gerald Everett, left tackle Dwayne Brown, and running back Rashad Penny, who is a star for Seattle down the stretch of 2021. They may not bring back all of these guys, but that will just create another hole for them to fix on their roster if they choose to let those players leave. They also need to keep DK Metcalf in the back of their mind, who is due for a contract extension shortly. So, their below average roster, paired with Russ not getting any younger and the fact that they don't have a first round pick this year, could make unloading Russ for multiple first and second round draft picks an option that Seattle may want to consider. When evaluating some of the teams that could have legitimate interest in acquiring Russell Wilson, the Washington Commanders have to be a team to mention. A report from ESPN's John Keim came out yesterday stating that the Commanders feel they are in a better spot this offseason to acquire a franchise quarterback via trade than they were a year ago. Another report came out from Kevin Sheehan stating that Russell Wilson wouldn't be against a trade to Washington. Head coach Ron Rivera is entering his 3rd year and could be on the hot seat to make the playoffs. Couple that with the fact that this franchise is embarking on a new chapter as the Commanders, they will likely want the face of the franchise to be an exciting franchise caliber quarterback like Russell Wilson and not a bridge backup caliber quarterback like a Taylor Heineke or like a Jimmy Garoppolo. Washington offered the Lions a 1st and 3rd round pick last year for Matthew Stafford, so they've proven in the past that they are willing to pony up significant draft capital to grab one of these big name quarterbacks. If there's any chance that Russell Wilson should be available for trade, the Washington Commanders will certainly be interested and will be one of the teams to watch. The Eagles are a team to watch out for in 2022. After many pegged them to be one of the worst teams in football this year, they actually managed to put together a solid season, even making the playoffs. They have a solid amount of cap space to work with in the offseason and are in possession of 3 first-round picks. They could view Jalen Hurts as their future quarterback, but should a guy like Russell Wilson become available, the Eagles will be better positioned than any other team to get him. The Eagles have a strong offensive line, a solid running back in Miles Sanders, a promising young wide receiver in Devonta Smith, a star tight end in Dallas Goedert. The defense could certainly use some work, but Philly, in my opinion, would provide Russell Wilson a significantly better chance of contending for a Super Bowl than the Seahawks currently can. They could trade Jalen Hurts, 2 firsts and a 2nd to the Seahawks for Russell Wilson and build out the rest of their roster from there. They could even make this trade and still have 2 first-round picks to use this year. When you talk about the Broncos, most people just talk about Aaron Rodgers. It's obvious that they have legitimate interest in Aaron Rodgers, which leads me to believe that they would, in turn, have interest in Russell Wilson if that opportunity presents itself. I view the Broncos as a team that really just needs a quarterback in order to truly contend for a Super Bowl. They have the pieces on both offense and defense. Russell Wilson should be open to going to Denver for this very reason. Also, the Broncos may make more sense than either of the teams I just mentioned, mainly due to the fact that they are in the AFC and not the NFC. Let's talk about the Browns. I don't actually think this has any chance of happening, but I want to talk about this purely as speculation and really just for fun. Do I think Baker Mayfield is a solid quarterback? Sure. Would I commit to him as my franchise guy for the next 3 to 5 years? No. I don't think Baker will ever be enough to get the Browns over that hump in the AFC that is the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, the Bengals managed to get past the Chiefs, but they also have a game-changing quarterback in Joe Burrow. I don't think that Baker will ever be that guy for Cleveland, and I think head coach Kevin Stefanski feels the same way. If I'm the Browns and I'm watching the Bills and Chiefs and Bengals with their quarterbacks, it would make me take a hard look at Baker Mayfield and tread very lightly when it comes to a long-term deal. If a guy like Russell Wilson becomes available, the Browns should at least consider it. How spoiled would Buccaneers fans be if they were able to go from Tom Brady to Russell Wilson? I'm not sure how interested the Buccaneers would be, but Russ would pose the Bucs a perfect opportunity to extend their Super Bowl window post-Tom Brady. I know they drafted Kyle Trask last year, but I don't think that would necessarily stop Tampa Bay from going after a guy like Russell Wilson. The Buccaneers roster is built to win now, which could make them willing to trade multiple high draft picks in order to continue to have a legitimate chance at another Lombardi trophy. Selling out for Russell Wilson may be Tampa's best chance. Other teams worth mentioning as potential Russell Wilson landing spots are the Steelers, Panthers, Vikings, 49ers, Giants, and Colts.